Do you know who I am? Really?
Am I being charged with anything?
Do you know who I am?
You're a psychologist, right? A counsellor. You're not someone who can do anything useful like prescribe drugs.
You're not making it any easier for
Yeah, look,
yourself.
I seem to recall you from a previous life. Were you Miss Montgomery from the Presbyterian School for Ladies?
And how long have you felt the system has been persecuting you?
Oh, shut up.
I'm serious. From your file, it seems pretty clear you've spent your entire life railing against the system.
Yeah, am I expected to pay for this?
All right, look, let me put it this way. Your antagonistic attitude is hindering us from helping you.
So, that statement contains a number of incorrect assumptions, if you don't mind me saying, the most prominent of which is that you are in fact attempting to help me.
What am I attempting to do?
What, you personally, or you the public health system?
Let's start with me personally.
Well, you are attempting to turn a perfectly reasonable objection to being pissed around by bureaucracy into a neurotic symptom capable of treatment.
Your problem is you think you're an individual.
Pardon me?
Whereas in fact, you're a patient, one of hundreds of thousands, all receiving treatments of various sorts, but treatments which do not depend on your individuality, but rather on that contingent thing that has nothing to do with your individuality, namely your illness. Do you agree?
Not entirely. Surely you're not saying my treatment requires me to allow myself to be turned into a thing.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
But that's mad.
Would you rather your treatment depend on whether you are good or bad, cheerful or a pain in the neck?
As soon as you allow yourself to be turned into a number, you're dead.
I've never read that law.
Oh, well, clearly you haven't been to Auschwitz.
Are you saying this is Auschwitz?
I'm saying at least part of my treatment depends on my active interest and cooperation, and that the best way to obtain that is by treating me like a person.
Do you want to get better?
Oh, well, of course I do. But I'm not going to, am I?
Not by acting the way you are.
No, I'm not going to at all. I am dying, doctor. Or whatever you are. Are you even a doctor?
No, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
Are you saying you're dying?
Yes. I'm not being treated to get better. I'm getting treated to delay the inevitable. To give me time to, to find the meaning of life, to pay my taxes. I've got a few months left because I don't have the money to have a few months more. But no, I'm no closer to understanding than I was 40 years ago when I was 10. Did I already say that? I don't know, it's all merging together. Like these places and these buildings. Like it was 40 years ago when I was 10. Or thereabouts.
I'm sorry.
What do you know now? You know, you saying sorry, that's the first fucking human thing anybody has said to me in the midst of this whole fucking nightmare.
I didn't know.
So what do you know now?
What do you mean?
Do you know the anguish? Do you know the waking up in the middle of the night, gasping for air and struggling through the clods of earth you imagine that they've already shoveled on top of you? Do you know that fear? That terrible, hollow fear that no matter how fast you run, the rest of the world is moving along and you're being left behind, that everything you know and love and want is going off without you? Do you know the dull, dead, ashen emptiness everything seems to be disappearing into? The sense that it was all a con, that all that passion and madness was for fucking nothing? Because that's what we are, a nothing being forgotten in the dark, a false wholeness that is finally being revealed for what it is, a sham, a conceit. A horrible fucking lie. Is that what you know? No, you don't know that. You go home to someone you think who loves you, and you play with children and you hope who will remember you. And you don't know what I know. And even if you understand these words that I'm saying, they won't mean anything till it's you sitting here where I am, pleading with someone who's alive to tell you some fucking truth that's going to help you towards the end. And when you do, remember me and know that this is who you are.
I'm sorry.
I can choose something now, can't I? I can wrap myself up in anger and tell you to get fucked, and I don't care whether you're sorry or not. Or I can act with grace and recognize your humanity and reach out to you and thank you for your act of empathy. I can choose, can't I? Death, approaching death. Approaching death can't take that away from me.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, I'm fucking talking to you. Who else would I be talking to?
No.
Thank you. Thank you for being so kind. Thank you. This wasn't the way it was supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to end like this. I wasn't one of those war correspondents who imagines their end. Brave and professional like Neil Davis, adjusting his focus as he fell so he could film his own slaughter. Heroic like Roger East, shouting and telling them all to get fucked and die as the Indonesian machine gunned them down on the Dili Wharf. It wasn't my style to think about things like that. I was a journeyman, that's all. Someone that went to places other people couldn't to bring back news it was important to know in order to be properly human. If I thought about it at all, I probably thought it had happened fairly quickly. A sniper, an IED, a wrong step on a landmine. Nobody wants to go slowly. But here I am. My last dispatches coming from a war front near you. The war front called your local hospital and palliative care unit. The war front that nobody comes back from. I wish the news I was bringing you was good, and probably some of it is. This is the sort of place that equalizes everybody. Like the shrink said, good, bad, rich, poor, everyone looks the same in a hospital gown with their ass flapping in the wind. Still, class does work here, and there are better ways to shuffle off this mortal coil. And worse. But after a while, all you see is the sad, hopeless look in people's eyes as they shuffle down the corridor, or maybe your own in the bathroom mirror. I never was one of those stiff upper lip types. But there's kindness and bravery and sometimes even friendship here. I don't know how or why, but there is. I'd be lying if I said I ever got reconciled with it. But I stopped whinging about how unfair it all was. Life had taught me a long time ago fairness didn't have a lot to do with it. Forgiveness, if you're lucky, maybe, but fairness, no. There is no fairness. Unless we demand it.
How are you feeling?
How do you think?
Do you want to take your coats off?
Why? Do you want to admire my gorgeous body?
I've seen worse.
Well, I suppose that's a compliment of sorts.
I'm upping your morphine dosage.
Looking to give me an easy way out, are you?
You're the one complaining about the pain?
Well, maybe that's because I like complaining.
Do you?
Let me ask you a question. Why did you become a doctor?
Because I wanted to help people.
Why?
Because I like people.
Why?
Because they're the only thing that makes putting up with this shit possible.
Well, it's a point of view.
What about you? Why did you become a journalist?
I didn't actually become a journalist.
What did you become?
Here I am. You tell me.
A caring, sensitive person trying to understand what's happened to her.
Yep. Or maybe. Not sure about the caring part.
Do you believe in God?
No.
But I've heard you pray.
Well, even atheists pray.
Who to?
Well, anyone who'll listen.
Do they?
Remarkably, no.
Not once? Not ever? You've never had a prayer answered?
Actually, yes, I have. I have. This is the answer.
This?
Yes. What's happened to me? This illness, this disease.
How is this an answer?
Because I wanted to know what life was. Because I imagined I was a god who would live forever. All that pain and suffering stuff, that seemed so distant to me. But now it doesn't. Now I know what it is. I know what life is.
Suffering?
Joy in the face of suffering. One-legged children kicking a ball around a dried-up refugee camp. Persistence. Love. Love is a wonderful thing, an amazing thing, an imponderable thing. Love will get you over mountains with a baby on your back and nothing to eat for 3 days. Love will carry you across seas surrounded by murder and mayhem because you've got someone's hand to hold and the hope that there's a place to go to. Love is the strongest force in the universe, you know, that can build homes and cities and futures. It's stronger than bombs and guns and stronger than hate. Because when all the hate is spent and the mad, vile acts committed by the mad, vile men who commit them are washed away and gone, what's left is the love of the survivors who care to rebuild and regrow what was hurt and destroyed. What is left is love. We love. Human beings love. That's what I learnt. That's what this has taught me.
You're a good person.
No, I'm not. I'm just a fellow sufferer.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting up with my shit.
That drug, the one you wanted but couldn't afford,
Yeah.
it's just been put on the approved list.
Of course it has.
There'll always be one, won't there?
One what?
One just out of reach.
I suppose there will be. It's what keeps us trying.
You are? Very trying.
It's all part of the service.
Do you want some more morphine?
No, thanks. A friend's been able to get me a Mexican pill.
So what are you doing here?
I came to say goodbye.
All right. Goodbye.
You're a good person too.
No, I'm not. You know I'm not.
Well, we try.
I'll see you on the other side.
Probably not. But if you do, I'll save you a seat.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
I'm glad.
So am I.